As promised, here I am in Lake Tahoe with my second video. And in this video, as the title might have revealed to most of you, I'm going to share with you 5 tips to make pin-sharp images in landscape photography. Welcome to my channel. Here we talk about photography. And I make videos just like this one where I share some landscape photography tips that everybody can follow. So if you're here for the first time, it might be a good idea to subscribe. I am in South Lake Tahoe today, and before starting with the 5 tips, I like to take a long exposure panorama photo of this beautiful view. Let's do it. My camera is already on the tripod. Come with me. Alright, I set up my camera on the tripod, and underneath my bowl head I have a leveling base that will allow me to keep my horizon straight when I turn and pan the camera in my photo. I have a video about that. I will post it right here and in the description below. I will use a 10 stop ND filter and a 3 stops ND grad soft. Let's try it out. It's a very bright day, and with the 10 stops I'm able to use a 30 seconds exposure. First shot.
15 minutes later.
We spoke about 10 minutes or so ago at
Yes.
front desk. So we got approval from the marketing, one of our marketing folks. They said go for it, and I'll let security know.
Okay, thank you.
So, as you heard, we have approval. Anyways, you didn't see the rest of the panorama shooting because the security, some people from the security came to me and told me that I was not allowed to film or taking photos from the property. So we talked to the marketing people, and just now we got the approval. But nevertheless, while the security was talking to me, I kept on taking the panorama shots. So hopefully I got a good panorama. If that happened, you will see the shot right now. But now let's move on to the next location, where we'll talk about the 5 tips related to this video. Let's go. In last week's video we saw where to focus in landscape photography, but that is not enough to take pin-sharp images. So let me give you 5 tips that will help you quite a bit. And to do so, I am going around Lake Tahoe, all around, and I will stop for every single tip. Here we go with the very first one. Select the right aperture. A common beginner mistake is to use very closed aperture in order to have the larger depth of field possible. Of course, I used to make this mistake as well, but the problem with using very closed apertures is diffraction. Diffraction happens when light passes through a very small opening, and the result is that it will compromise the sharpness of the entire photo. So how good can it be to have a very wide depth of field but a very soft image in the end? The sharpest apertures are always in the middle of your lens aperture range. So for instance, in the 50mm lens that I'm using right now, where the aperture range goes between f1.8 and f16, I will always achieve the best sharpness if I'm using f8 to f11. So select your aperture having very clear in mind how important it is for the final sharpness of your image. And now let me take a photo of this beautiful pier. location, we are in Carnelian Bay, and from here I will give you my second tip. If you're serious about landscape photography, you need to get a tripod. And if you're really serious about landscape photography, you need to carry the tripod with you at all time. Not only the camera will be more stable on a tripod than in your hands, but also you will be able to use a slower shutter speed, or maybe to capture time lapse, like in this case. I know tripods are bulky and heavy, but no matter what, deal with it. I don't know if it is gonna help you, but imagine my situation. I'm carrying two tripods. This for my photography, and the one you don't see that is actually holding the camera is taping. So just do it. Third location in Lake Tahoe. We are now in Sand Harbor on the Nevada side of Lake Tahoe. And here it is my third tip. Use a remote shutter release. So once you carried your tripod during your entire hike, and during that hike you crossed because the tripod is too heavy and it's a pain, well, you want to make sure that you will not move your camera once it's set on the tripod. And you could do that just by pressing the shutter button. So make sure to get a remote shutter release that will help you not to touch the camera when you take a photo. I know that you could easily set up a self timer that will trigger the camera a few seconds after you fire the shutter button. At the same time, the remote shutter release is a very convenient tool. It's not very expensive, and you can use it for your time lapses or for your long exposure photography. So this is my suggestion. Go for it. The light is not fantastic, but I set up my camera already, so let me use the remote shutter release and take a photo. And here we are, fourth location of the day, Zephyr Cove, Nevada side, Lake Tahoe. And my fourth tip to take sharper photos is to use the mirror lock up. Once we secure the camera on the tripod, we don't want any shake within the camera, inside of the camera. So we want to make sure that the mirror movement will happen before we fire the shutter button. Of course, if you're using a mirrorless camera, you don't need to worry about this. But with the DSLR camera, it's a good practice to set your mirror lock up, so the first time you touch the shutter button, actually you will just secure the mirror locking up and moving up. When you touch the shutter button or your remote shutter release for the second time, you are actually firing your shot. And with the mirror lock up, I'm going to take the next photo now. So the sun is still very high, and I really like this tree that now is actually floating in the water. Nevertheless, let me tell you about what I'm doing. I want to have sunburst in this composition. It's a very challenging image because I'm shooting right in front of the sun. Interesting. I know I'm contradicting myself with what I said on tip 1. At the same time, in this image, I'm not searching sharpness, I'm searching sunburst. Last location, last pier, and last tip of the day. since I've been granted permission to film here, I am back in South 𝗬𝗏, so I completed the full loop of 𝗬𝗏, which is beautiful. And my last tip today is to make sure to adjust the viewfinder diopter, which is the little wheel you will find next to the viewfinder. If accidentally you touch that little wheel and the diopter is not set for your eyesight, you will be in big trouble. I tell you, this happened to me. You won't be able to understand whether your image is sharp or not. So since it doesn't cost you anything, make sure that that diopter is set for your eyesight. And while waiting for the sun to set, I am taking this time lapse. And we are done for today. Next week I will be back with a new episode of Learning Photography on YouTube. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope that these tips will help you to take sharper images. So if you like this video, why don't you hit that like button down below? Tell me what you think in the comments, and if you didn't subscribe yet, maybe this is the right time to do so. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video.